David, get on over here real quick. Come on, get him on over here. You love him. You see him every night. I got to rush him in and over here because I got to get his thoughts on this because I know he's ready to talk. I got to tell you what. I like the trade for both teams.
Yeah.
I think both teams did pretty good in this trade. David, you love the NBA.
Yeah, let me pull up a share.
Yeah, because nobody knows the NBA better than my friend over here.
Oh, thank you.
We're talking Seahawks. Yeah, I feel like he's the main angle. We should get his chair.
It's amazing.
Stop.
Isaiah Thomas going to the Cavs playing with LeBron is going to be pretty fun to watch.
Okay,
So I mean, we're talking Mariners lose, Seahawks need an offensive line, but David, I mean, this came down today, and
Big news.
What did you think when you heard the trade?
big news. Okay, so for starters, Cleveland got more in terms of the amount of players because they got Isaiah and they got Crowder and they got a center and they got the first round pick in 2018. So as a whole, Cleveland was able to amass or pick up more players. But if I look at it from the star player standpoint, Kyrie and Isaiah kind of get to the same amount of points, but they do things differently. Kyrie's probably the best ball handler in the NBA. You might be able to argue Curry and maybe one other player, but I think it's Kyrie.
Yeah.
When he played with Cleveland before LeBron, the team was terrible. He couldn't finish, meaning he couldn't close games. They probably won 20 games out of 82, so they weren't that good. You add LeBron to that team and Kevin Love and a bunch of other players. And hi, Lori. And you had a bunch of other players. So you add some star players, and the floor opens up. The pressure is relaxed from Kyrie because LeBron is going to require double team.
Kyrie's so good. He's like the Laurie Matsukawa of news anchors.
There you
go. He's that good.
Same height too. No, she can handle the rock. I've seen her play. Now, so Kyrie with LeBron and Kevin Love and some other good players. The attention is on some of the other players. You have to pay attention to Kyrie, but the game is easier for him. So he was able to finish in the playoffs and the finals last year because LeBron requires a double team, Kevin Love requires attention. So he's going to be able to break down one guy and have more space to operate. Now, again, when he was with Cleveland with no superstars, it's like the court became smaller because all the attention was focused on him. Great players like Barkley, Julius Erving, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, they could get the job done on a poor team. Allen Iverson, they didn't need really a bunch of players around them, not to get the championship, but just to produce and close games. So now that Kyrie's going to Boston, he's surrounded by Jason Tatum from Duke, is a decent player. It kind of remains to be seen, but I think Tatum is going to be nice. But if I look at the established players, Al Horford is established. Gordon Hayward, established, all-star.
It's going to be a tough team.
Marcus Smart, they can actually probably dethrone the Cavs. So I think Kyrie
is that the finals? Or not the finals, but the finals
Eastern
in the
Conference.
Eastern Conference.
I think so. It could be a little premature because I got to see a few. If Philly is healthy, they can be a problem.
Philly.
Joel Embiid is a generational player, but it's early. He has to make it. He has to make it through. They don't have the experience, and they need to make it through halfway of the season without any injuries, and then we can get off.
They got a ton of talent, though.
They do have a lot of talent, but on paper, with experience and no injuries, the Boston Celtics can dethrone the Cavs. Kyrie's going to play well because he can finish when he has talent around him and he has some solid players. Now, Isaiah was a closer and played very well with other teams. And even with the Celtics, all he had was Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, so no real superstar. And Isaiah at 5'9" or whatever,
averaging nearly 29
was still
points.
A closer, and he led the league in scoring in fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So that shows you that he can actually close on a team that's okay. Now you put him on a team with LeBron,
and Isaiah.
His numbers are going to go up because LeBron is a facilitator, a playmaker by nature. He's more Magic. He's Dominique Wilkins' athleticism and Magic's vision and ball handling and passing. LeBron is not an assassin like a Kobe Bryant. Isaiah has more of that Kobe in him. So I think they can work well together. And I think Isaiah is going to be the closer that can help LeBron as well. But I do think the Celtics could dethrone the Cavs.
That's why we bring in the closer. I know you're busy, my man. So
sorry, I took too long.
It's the talk of the town today as the Seahawks announce another major shakeup. Richard Sherman, no longer part of the team. He will become a free agent.
So former Seahawks defensive end Joe Tafoya joins us right now to talk about this Sherman move and give us a true player's perspective. So tell me this, why would a team release a top-tier player like this right now?
a decision like this does not come lightly. There are many factors that go into making this type of a decision. It sent shockwaves through the NFL. And what you have to look at is a couple of factors: age, salary cap hit, and what is the expectation for this next year. We've been planning for this move. I say we because I'm still a former Seahawk. But we've been planning for this move for the last couple of years. 2017 brought in a couple of corners and also a couple of defensive linemen. There's no replacing Richard Sherman.
That's what he's 29 years old.
29 years old.
Yeah.
In the NFL, that's old.
Yeah, but then he was injured last season. And so what happens next? He becomes a free agent. What does Richard Sherman do now?
So free agency officially opens on March 14th, which is Wednesday. Right now, because Richard is a free agent, he can begin negotiations and he can start talking to other teams about a contract. When free agency opens, you're going to hear a lot of big names that are out there, like the Kirk Cousins, the Drew Brees, but Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett and a couple of other Seahawks, Jimmy Graham, Sheldon Richardson, we're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of talent this year. Richard Sherman, he's got to look for the best fit for him.
Yeah.
And I think he's has to factor in whether he wants the money, because it's out there, or whether he's looking for a contender or a scheme fit. But Richard Sherman has been an iconic figure for Seattle sports for the last 7 years, and we will thank him, and it was an honor to have watched him play.
I heard him saying that he wanted to go with a team with a really good quarterback. With that said, what type of season are you expecting from Sherman next season and from Bennett, who also has been moved on?
So let's start with Bennett, because that one's easy. Bennett's healthy, and he's going to be fitting into a scheme where they have a dynamic pass rushing effort going on. The Eagles are coming off of a big win in the Super Bowl, and he fits their scheme very well. You're going to see a lot of Michael Bennett. Richard Sherman is still recovering from an injury, and it was a pretty significant injury, and the team won't really know what they have when they get him until after June when he recovers. So I'm not sure you're going to see a whole lot of him early on, but you can expect the same old thing from Richard Sherman. He's brash. He's going to be, the same personality depending on what team he lands on. He still has a couple of really good years left in him.
So what's going to be happening now in the next few days in the Seahawks headquarters, head office?
Yeah.
What kind of discussion is going on now?
Yeah, there are a lot of discussions that happen behind the scenes. The talent evaluation process is ongoing. So they have a big room with all of the talent that they're listing. The talent evaluation starts at the combine and continues on through free agency, but they're always talking about roster. They're always talking about turnover. It's always this next man up mentality, because truly it has to be. For the Seahawks right now, the discussions behind the scenes are all about who's the next guy that's going to fill in, and who is it? There's going to be a lot of players there.
So you were talking about it could be an age thing, it could be a money thing. But we've seen Richard and we've seen Michael speaking out about issues that are pretty important in society. Did any of that have anything to do with these moves, in your opinion?
It's a good question, and to be honest, I don't know the answer to that. I think that there's a lot of relevance to that question, because you look at the two most outspoken guys on the team, they're no longer there. You look at a guy like Colin Kaepernick, he's no longer there.
Playing, yeah.
There are a lot of guys that they sort of took the brunt end of this thing, of the movement that was going on, and they're no longer part of the NFL. It's almost like, hey, do we want these guys to be quiet? Personally, I love what they've done. I love that they've stood up for social injustice. Most people don't know the true meaning behind their cause, and that's because there's so many opinions and altered facts out there. But good for them for standing up. I hope it doesn't affect them in the future.
And on that same topic, what sort of message does that send to the rest of the guys in that locker room? And then what's the message that it sends to the fans here in Seattle?
Yeah, I think the message is truly play football and do what you're brought here to do. So that's the message. The rest of the guys on the team, we're going to have a young team coming up. We still have one of the best players at the most important position, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
We still have a slew of talent on defense. We have some young players that are coming up. But it sounds to me like if they don't start falling in line, this may be their fate also.
Yep, we've got a team in flux. Joe Tafoya, thanks for joining us today.
They were winning when they were going up against the Pistons.
Did they get Dennis Rodman into that team?
Rodman is not a super. He's a great defender and a great defense.
Yeah, Joel.
A great defender and a great rebounder.
One of the best rebounders of all time, possibly.
But he couldn't score a lick. It was Mike and Pippen.
That's all he was.
It was Mike and Pippen. So I like the Bulls, and I also like the Celtics because my godfather gave me like the Celtics pajama pants. That's how I fell in love with the Celtics.
So when you were a kid, it was Celtics growing up?
Those two teams. Now that I'm older, I would say I like Stephen Curry and I like Durant as players, but I like them on two different teams. I don't like them on the same team.
Okay.
I do like Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard, what he represents, his old school mentality, and I respect Russell Westbrook, how he's going at it really hard. He's going to war with the rest of the league, you know, with just a little bit of help. I respect that. When you join a team with Shaq, Kobe, Magic, Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, what's the point of playing somebody else?
So you weren't a fan of LeBron teaming up with D. Wade and those boys down in Miami?
Correct. I was not a fan of that. But since I have to choose between these two teams and the way things are set up now, I'm going to say the Warriors, and I'll break it down for you. You have 4 stars/superstars: Curry, Durant, Clay, Dre. The Cavs have LeBron, Kyrie, Love. And if you want to say that J.R. Smith can kind of give them the offensive production that Draymond might be able to get on the other side, you can throw J.R. in the mix, even though J.R. is not a superstar. So, to
Too many weapons. Jake says too.
thing that,
5 games?
so what's your reasoning?
Well, it's because as soon as Clay, Steph, and Durant get hot, and you got Draymond Green who can dish the ball, distribute, and make that whole team run. As long as he keeps his head, that team's just gonna
So if I were the Cavs, I would go at Draymond to get him in foul trouble. And the thing that the Cavs really do well is move the ball.
Yeah.
You can outrun somebody, but I don't know a human being who can outrun a ball. So as long as that ball is moving, like old Spurs basketball, like the Lakers basketball, it's tough, man. It's tough for LeBron to chase those guys. And Kyle Korver's defense is trash. Channing Frye can't play defense.
Check the comments while he's talking.
Warriors for sure. They just have too many weapons.
Donnie says, hello, Paul, Joel, David. I'm rooting for the Warriors in the NBA Finals. Go Dubs.
So many headlines came out of last night's NBA All-Star Game. Last night's new format allowed superstars LeBron James and Stephen Curry to choose their own All-Star teammates. And it was a huge success with a very competitive game being played. Now, before that basketball was even bounced in this game, a lot of people were talking about this moment. So Fergie tried her own style with the national anthem. You see how some of the players there, you see Curry there laughing and smiling about it. Jimmy Kimmel even had a reaction to it. But perhaps what has people talking the most is a recent interview with James and superstar Kevin Durant where they speak out and speak against President Trump.
The number one job in America, the point of person, is someone who doesn't understand the people and really don't give a about the people.
I feel like our team as a country is not ran by a great coach.
It's not even a surprise when he says something. It's not even a surprise. It's like laughable. It's like
It's laughable.
It's laughable and it's scary.
But it's also scary because I shouldn't be numb to your racist comments.
Right.
I shouldn't be numb to your behavior.
Now, those comments are making even more news because Fox News host Laura Ingraham decided to play one-on-one with James.
I called those remarks barely intelligible, not to mention ungrammatical. And last night, which is difficult to dispute, and the left erupted. Slate's piece was titled, "In Insulting LeBron James, Laura Ingraham proves James' point about racism." Oh, okay. It accused me of, quote, something vile and racist. Almost all the stories accused me of dog whistle commentary, and many claimed my line that LeBron should shut up and dribble was racist. What? I wrote a book 15 years ago, fairly well-known, New York Times bestseller called Shut Up and Sing. And I've been using variants of that title to call out political celebrities for 15 years without regard for skin color, where you came from, what you do.
Okay. After hearing those comments, James had this to say.
Well, not just shut up and dribble because I mean too much to
my two boys here, their best friend right here, my daughter that's at home, my wife, my family, and all these other kids that look up to me for inspiration and trying to find a way out. The best thing she did is gonna help me is create more awareness. So I appreciate her for even giving me even more awareness.
And now Ingram is challenging James, tweeting this, quote, "Hey King, come play on my court next week. You're invited on the show anytime." So we're going to see, of course, if James takes her up on this offer. Now, my main hope through all of this is that through their conversation, they can help bring together a divided nation. There is freedom of speech, but there's a way to say and do things no matter who or what you believe in.
Last week, we lost a pioneer in sports. 79-year-old Ginger Ackerley died after battling ovarian cancer for more than 6 years. Ginger, with her late husband Barry, owned the Seattle Supersonics for about 18 years.
She was also the founder and former chairwoman of the WNBA Seattle Storm. So we wanted to speak to someone who could put her legacy into perspective for us. And Don Trudeau, who is one of the Storm's owners, agreed to come in. So Don, thank you so much for your time and sorry for your loss.
Tell us a little bit more about Ginger's decision to invest in the Storm when it wasn't the exact height of popularity that it is today.
Well, she was a pioneer. She definitely took a risk in investing in the Storm. The league was about 3 years old at the time. There hadn't really been a professional women's sports league of any type that had lasted more than a few years, but she believed in it. And so she took the effort to bring the Storm into town, and it's turned out pretty well for us.
Tell us about her legacy.
Well, her legacy starts with the Storm, of course. I shouldn't say it starts with that. That's one of her key pieces of her legacy. But she was a huge community advocate and a philanthropist. And so she invested in lots of programs for leadership for women and girls, also for early education for the state. She really was a visionary in terms of what she saw as the future that we could have.
Was there something in her life that made her so dedicated to women, to girls, to female sports, and that kind of an area? What was it that in her life that might have driven her to that?
I can't say that I knew her that well. Our times didn't cross over, but I would say that I've met many powerful women of that era that didn't have opportunities for themselves, and that desire to bring opportunities to other women and other girls really drove them in terms of the things that they were prioritized.
In your opinion, what does she mean for the entire Seattle sports scene?
Well, aside from having a professional basketball team in town, which we're the only one, we've brought 2 championships to the city. And there's just, it's an environment for families to go to that they can really enjoy. They can afford it, and also it's designed around family participation.
What was she like as a mentor to you personally, or to other owners, the other owners of the team, and to the athletes themselves? Was she around, and did she encourage them?
From my understanding, she did. As I mentioned, our times didn't cross over, but I know that the early athletes that played when Ginger was the owner really thought that she was a fabulous person. She didn't get terribly involved in the sports side of it, but definitely was an accessible mentor to the players as young women.
I was looking into the whole Ackerley Foundation. Tell me about how Ginger was bigger than basketball or bigger than sports in terms of her giving nature and wanting to help out others.
Well, obviously, she invested in many areas of the community outside of basketball. I think that was one of her, one of the key things that she did as an individual, but I think she also was very much participating with other people and trying to make our community better, Seattle and the state of Washington.
Okay. Don Trudeau, thank you so much for your time, and again, sorry for the loss.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So this is
Stop taking my joke. Stop taking my joke.
That was your joke. Listen, all right, so we're talking NBA Finals. Cavs and Warriors get it going tomorrow night, 6 o'clock tip Pacific time. Game 1, you know, this guy's a huge, David Espinosa Hall is a huge NBA fan, all right? So he's always, when I do the highlights downstairs during the season, he's plugging his ears,
because I DVR the game.
Yeah, so.
And I don't want him to ruin the score for me.
That's right. So he's in the wrong business. You need to go work in a library or something and go home and watch a little game. So, all right, so let's go, man. All right, who do you like?
Okay, so to be honest with you, both of these teams, I don't root for them. I don't want any of these guys to win a championship, and I'll say that. The reason I'm saying this is because I'm an old school guy to the heart. You fight your way through, maybe 1, maybe 2 superstars, but you don't get 5 superstars on the same team trying to destroy the rest of the league in order to make your chances of getting the championship easier or getting to that point quicker. I respect the Barkleys who fought through it, the Ewings, the Elijahwans, the Jordans, the Millers, the Birds, the Stocktons, those guys. So I wanted to start off with that. But since I have to choose between these two teams,
okay, hold on. Before you go choosing, all right. So you don't like the whole way these teams were built.
Yeah, because.
But who do you like? If you had to pick a team, who's your favorite NBA team? You got one?
Bulls, and I liked the Bulls before they were winning. During Michael's era, before they were winning, when they were going up against the Pistons.
But did they get Dennis Rodman into that team?
Rodman is not a super. He's a great defender and a great defense.
Yeah, Joel.
A great defender and a great rebounder.
One of the best rebounders of all time, possibly.
But he couldn't score a lick. It was Mike and Pippen.
That's all he was.
It was Mike and Pippen. So I like the Bulls, and I also like the Celtics because my godfather gave me like the Celtics pajama pants. That's how I fell in love with the Celtics.
So when you were a kid, it was Celtics growing up?
Those two teams. Now that I'm older, I would say I like Stephen Curry and I like Durant as players, but I like them on two different teams. I don't like them on the same team.
Okay.
I do like Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard. Right. What he represents, his old school mentality, and I respect Russell Westbrook, how he's going at it really hard. He's going to war with the rest of the league, with just a little bit of help. I respect that. When you join a team with Shaq, Kobe, Magic, Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, what's the point of playing somebody else?
So you weren't a fan of LeBron teaming up with D-Wade and those boys down in Miami either?
Correct. I was not a fan of that. But since I have to choose between these two teams and the way things are set up now, I'm going to say the Warriors, and I'll break it down for you. You have 4 stars/superstars: Curry, Durant, Clay, Dre. The Cavs have LeBron, Kyrie, Love. And if you want to say that J.R. Smith can kind of give them the offensive production that Draymond might be able to get on the other side, you can throw J.R. in the mix, even though J.R. is not a superstar. So to me, those two sides balance each other out. So then what is it going to come down to? Better shooting. You have Kyle Korver, who can shoot. LeBron is struggling from the free throw line all season, shooting in the 60s. You guys can look that up if you want. On the Warriors side of things, their bench is David West. He's going to get you 5 to 8 points. Not going to play the best defense, and you're going to get Andre Iguodala, who's a smart defender, fills in the gaps. Who am I forgetting? Shaw Livingston is solid on the offensive end. He's not going to make any mistakes.
So you like the Warriors bench better than the Cavs bench?
I think so. The Cavs have Derek Williams, who's not really doing anything since he got out of college. Deron Williams, who's past his prime. Channing Frye can probably get you about 8 points, probably 2 threes, and he'll get fouled, so that'll give him 8 points. Iman Shumpert will probably hit a 3. I think it's going to be Kyle Korver spreading the floor and Channing Frye. And so the question is, whose bench is better, Kyle Korver and Channing Frye versus David West, Andre Iguodala? Your boy JaVale McGee has been playing very well.
He's got my boy.
On other teams, that's not what I heard. On other teams, JaVale was a bum in the league. He gets on this team and he's surrounded by superstars, so they make JaVale look so good because all the attention is on the superstars that you forget about JaVale.
That helps.
So you have Korver and Frye trying to get the best of the 3 or 4 names on the Warriors bench that I gave you. So I'm going to lean in favor of the Warriors. But again, I don't want any of these guys to get a championship ring.
Hold it right there. What, you got anybody chiming in there, Joel?
Let's see.
That was a long-winded answer.
You started us off, so.
Looks like Jimmy says, does LeBron pass MJ as the GOAT if he beats this Warriors team?
Oh, don't answer that yet.
Jimmy. Brett Spain says, Paul, my man.
Who's that? Boston Brent?
Yeah, Brett Spain.
Boston Brent.
Yeah.
Oh, he's ready.
Jimmy Anderson says beats. I'm not sure exactly what he meant. Oh, beats Celtics. No. Brett Spain says the Celtics. He hopes the Celtics win.
Yeah, too bad. You're a few days back. Come on, Boston Brent. You're better than that, man.
Jimmy Anderson's Tristan Thompson has had a better playoffs than Clay so far.
About that. We didn't even mention Tristan Thompson.
Well, we were just waiting for you to throw him out there. So
John says Cavs in 6. Jimmy says Cavs in 7. Whoa. Michael Henriksen says I got the Preds in 6. he wants to talk about Stanley Cup.
That's all right, man. We're good at the hockey.
I love it, though.
Tyler Smith says the West Coast All-Stars versus LeBron. Go Cavs.
I'm into the first guys out of the gate like the Cavs. Heart. They're going with their heart. I want the Cavs to win, but that's more of a heart pick. I'm just kind of a Midwest guy, and I think it's great for Cleveland. But let's talk about that for a minute. The LeBron versus Michael, because I know you're answer, but you're pretty adamant about it, aren't you?
So here's the thing. LeBron has constantly, since he left Cleveland, he has constantly surrounded himself around superstars because that, in his mind, is his way to get his ring. When he was with Cleveland at first, he had people like Zydrunas Ilgauskas, who we still can't spell his name to this day. He had Daniel Marshall, and your boy, Daniel Boobie Gibson. So I mean, these are names that, that no one really knows. So I respect that era of LeBron. He came into the league and he was still dominating. So he took his talents to South Beach. We all watched The Decision. I was around my parents when that came out, and I was heartbroken because you're going to leave the hometown where you're from to go to Miami, which I understand. However, you're joining two all-stars, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. He needed those two guys because LeBron is not the type of guy who can take the game-winning shot. He's more Magic and Dominique Wilkins with the athleticism and Magic's passing. He is not Michael Jordan. He does not have that gene in him to take you out when there are 2 minutes left on the clock. LeBron is pass first, penetrate, and he's really great at breaking down defenses, and he's going to the lane like strong like a horse, like Dominique and Magic. I just don't see Michael in him. He doesn't have that killer instinct. He needs other players to sort of step on the neck of the opponent.
But he had arguably one of the best small forwards ever to play the game. With Scottie Pippen.
Oh, Pippen, yeah. I mean Pippen is one of the. I think Pippen was one of the 50 greatest of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mike had one guy, and Dennis Rodman, who was great on the defensive end. So you can call that 2.5 guys because on the offensive end, Rodman didn't give you anything.
The worm was so disruptive.
Yeah.
No, I totally give you that. But you pair LeBron with Dwayne, who at the time probably was averaging 25, 26 a game, probably 2 steals a game, a good 4 or 5 rebounds a game. And Chris Bosh was getting you 18 to 20, probably 9 rebounds, and at least a block or 2. I mean, he was surrounded by great talent. And he only left Cleveland. I get the whole he wanted to win one for his hometown. That's cute. I get it.
Yeah.
But he realized that Dwayne, who was sort of the number 2 punch in that mix, in that trio, was getting older and was always injury prone.
Yes.
So let me move to a Cleveland team where I can win one from my hometown, but I'm also getting with a young, great, up-and-coming star. Oh, and let's not let Wiggins come in. Let's get him moved and bring in Kevin Love, who's 20 and 10. Like you're dictating somebody else's future because you're trying to win a championship ring. And then Durant.
What do you got? You keep talking to see if we get any other comments.
And then you have Durant. You have Durant who, how do you lose to a team and then you join the team that beat you? Like, where is your competitive nature? So I don't respect, like, I respect that they have the right to make their minds up and go wherever they want. That's all part of it, as they should. But you have to have some competitive spirit. You have to have some balance in the league. We can't have 5 superstars on one, 4 superstars on the other, and then maybe a superstar on every other team, so they're just getting blown out by these 2 great teams.
So you'd rather be Charles Barkley, thought of one of the greatest players of all time, not win a title.
Charles never
or
really had.
LeBron, who is one of the greatest players of all time.
I would say
he's won probably 3, 4, probably 5.
I would say I would like to be somewhere in the middle, where I don't need 5 superstars. It might be hard to get it done by myself, but you pair me up with another solid player, and I would like to test my chances.
And Charles chased the ring too.
However, when he went to the Rockets, yes, but that was a team that was really old. Hakeem was past his prime. Drexler was not gliding the way he used to. They didn't even call him Glide at that point. It was Clyde. Who am I missing here? Oh, you said the Suns. I mean, Dan Marley. He shot a couple threes, and Kevin Johnson was a solid point guard.
They had Nash on the team.
Nash wasn't there just yet.
Oh, they had that darn Rex Chapman.
So is LeBron better than Michael? No, it's not even close. They're 2 different players. One is the greatest of all time, who could average 30 a game, and if Michael played in today's game, Michael would probably average 36, 38 points. It's not even close.
Okay,
it's not even close.
All right, you're adamant about that.
I think 1-on-1 though, LeBron would kill him just because of size.
I don't know about that.
He'd old man game and just back him down.
Here's the thing: LeBron is not the best shooter, especially with defense. His game is overpowering you by driving to the hole. Michael had great defense, and Michael was incredibly strong. Michael had athleticism. Michael had the overall IQ. LeBron has IQ too, but The difference is that LeBron, once you get past that free throw line, his jump shot, when it's on, he's streaky, but you D him up very well, and he's going to have a tough time converting the shots. Whereas Michael, there's really no weakness in this game.
Yeah, if you're facing LeBron, you back off and say, "Go ahead, shoot."
Exactly. And if he's hitting the
you
shot,
want him to drive on you.
If he's hitting the shot, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, MJ's the greatest, but you got to throw Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain in that discussion as well.
And Magic.
Magic too, in that discussion as well. But you know, the millennials these days, they think whatever they're seeing today is the best thing that they've ever seen in their lives. So, but in terms of games, what's the little bet that we have going? Are we betting who is going
No, just who wins it. You like the Warriors?
I'm saying the Warriors.
I'll take the Cavs. So
what's your explanation? I gave the viewers.
Dude, you bored the viewers right there with old numbers, and so I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to bore you to death. I'm taking LeBron. I'm taking the Cavs.
I gave the viewers wisdom.
Yeah, that's good. And I give them the TV answer, which is 15 seconds. I like the Cavs. I like LeBron. They're playing at a very high level.
We got a comment. So Paul, why do you choose the Cavs?
No, we don't. We don't have a comment. I just told you why. They're playing. LeBron and Irving and Love are all playing at the highest peak right now. And at the same time, remember last year, Steph was hurt, and he was hurt a lot more than everybody thought. Draymond Green was lost in one game for the final. There were a lot of little intangibles in last year's final with these two teams, and so a lot of people say, well, that's the reason that these guys were able to come back. But Love wasn't around either. So. I like both these teams go into this thing healthy, which is great. Yeah. So I like the Cavs. I'll take a 6 or 7. I'm not gonna. But what I'm hearing on the Warriors side is the Warriors there's a lot of guys that like the Warriors at 5. I mean, quick.
It's not going to be great. This series is definitely going 6 or north of 6. There's no way that this is a sweep, and there's no way that one team is going to just win one game.
Okay, so you don't think 5 games like a lot of the analysts
say. It's definitely going to be.
All right, let me ask you this: what about the NBA as a whole? With the, I'm just a casual NBA fan, and but I'm watching the playoffs, and I'm like, is anybody? These guys, between the Warriors and the Cavs, they lost one playoff game.
Is anybody close to competing with these teams?
No. The question is, without you waxing on for an hour and a half, what about the state of the NBA right now? You're a big NBA fan, man. It's like the Warriors and Cavs, and there's everybody else.
So here's the thing.
Are you disappointed in the playoffs, in the postseason in the NBA?
Okay, so when we look at it from a money standpoint, TV networks are throwing the most money at the NBA that they ever have. That's why you have these huge contracts. So from a money standpoint, a rating standpoint, it's easy to see how the NBA is doing very well, if not maybe the best basketball. From a business standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, I hope the commissioner who's watching this, Adam, will need to make it so that we only have 2 superstars per team. And so you might say, David, how do you oversee that and make sure that that's the case? Well, on any roster, you can't have more than 2 players averaging north of 20 points. You can't have 3 players with 20 points because it's too much of a super team. You have 2 all-stars at the most, nobody averaging more than 20, 25 or more. You can't
That's hard to do, though, man.
You look at the roster, all you have to do is look at the stats.
Yeah, but you got to reward for good scouting.
And if a team,
GM.
Okay, so that's the difference. I like that. If like the Warriors, where they were struggling with Mark Jackson, but they were still winning games, and they had Clay shooting well, Dre doing his thing, Curry on the cusp of superstardom. Yeah, I respect it. They built that through the draft. So if a team maintains their overall chemistry and the overall outlook of the team through the draft, I respect that. But when you start doing these free agency trades, you cannot have more than 2 guys averaging 20 points on the team. So I wouldn't allow. If I were the commissioner, I wouldn't allow something like that.
If you're the Warriors, and you're allowing Harrison Barnes to go, and he gets a max deal from Dallas, you should be able to get a max deal player back, and that's what Kevin Durant is basically. I'm fine with the Warriors having all those guys. Good for them. It's exciting.
As far as the rest of the NBA and that question, I mean, I know it was a really boring postseason. I think a lot of people did. but let's now here's the big payoff. Here's the big payoff, man. You got the 2 best going at it now for the 3rd straight year. Never happened. Yeah. So this is where the payoff is. So I'm looking forward to a great series. I mean, I think the Warriors are going to kill them. Are you one of those guys that thinks it's 5 games?
Well, what's your reasoning?
Well, it's because as soon as Clay, Steph, and Durant get hot, and you got Draymond Green who can dish the ball, distribute, and make that whole team run. as long as he keeps his head, that team's just gonna just.
So if I were the Cavs, I would go at Draymond to get him in foul trouble. And the thing that the Cavs really do well is move the ball.
Yeah.
You can outrun somebody, but I don't know a human being who can outrun a ball. So as long as that ball is moving, like old Spurs basketball, like the Lakers basketball, it's tough, man. It's tough to for LeBron to chase those guys. And Kyle Korver's defense is trash. Channing Frye can't play defense.
Check the comments while he's talking.
Warriors for sure. They just have too many weapons.
Donnie says, "Hello, Paul, Joel, David. I'm rooting for the Warriors in the NBA Finals. Go Dubs." Daniel says, "Cavs all the way to crash Bulls record." Nicholas says, "Warriors for sure. They just have too many weapons." Jake says, "Too bad we're not talking about the Sonics." Boo.
Nicholas says, "Labor just won 3."
Shauna says, "Cavs all the way." Nicholas, "The NBA is a joke. Honestly, some of the teams are full of all-stars, but the Cavs and Dubs are full of superstars. It's not a level playing ground, just kind of like you're talking about." Jimmy says the Warriors are down 20 points in Game 1 against San Antonio. It might have been a different series if Kawhi doesn't get hurt.
Oh, man. Good point. Forgot about that.
What did he say?
The Warriors are down 20 in Game 1 against the Spurs. Might have been a different series if Kawhi doesn't get hurt.
Heck yeah.
And the Pacers could have won at least 2 games in that series against the Cavs.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't know if you watched it, but the first game should have been Indiana's game. And they could have made that series competitive. And the Bucks, don't sleep on the Milwaukee Bucks, don't sleep on the Portland Trailblazers. Those 2 teams are coming.
Jake says it's got to stick with the Sonics roots with Durant being second overall pick. Go Warriors. Joe, the Bulls didn't have 3 players north of 20.
See?
That's a good
Thank
point.
you, Joe.
Nicholas, Jake, remember who was drafted before Durant? Kevin Oden. Who's out of the league in less than 5 years? Love KD. There we go. Now we're caught up.
Not Kevin Oden, Greg Oden.
Greg Oden.
Yeah.
Did I say Kevin? I'm sorry. He said he wrote Greg.
Yeah. Greg Oden. Yeah.
Kevin Oden, Greg Durant.
So whose legacy matters the most in the series? Like ESPN was talking about it on an article there. Like who has to win it?
I'll tell you my opinion.
Go ahead,
I'm
man.
a good person.
No, go ahead.
I'm talking about individuals. Who's
I think the person who has the most to lose from an outlook of their career perspective would be Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
LeBron has his rings. However, LeBron has lost. I think he's been in the final 6 or 7 times, and his percentage is below 50, which is not good.
He's been 8-7 straight.
He's been to the finals 7 or 8 straight times, but he's lost like 5 finals.
Yeah, he's only won.
So how can you be the greatest if you're losing all these finals with all of this help? You know, I mean, Wilt only won twice, and I think Wilt lost several times. So Jerry West won 8 times and only won once. So I mean, that's what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. Durant
Russell,
is the guy.
Durant's what is the word I'm looking for? His legacy is on fire.
Yeah,
and because he chased the ring. So
yeah.
he didn't get it when he was fighting with his original squad in 2014, and I respect that. So now you go to a super team. If you don't win, then you will always come in second place.
Yeah. So I think there's more pressure. I think there's a lot less pressure on LeBron to win this thing.
However,
because right now everybody's writing those guys off anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, I think there's a lot more pressure. I think that's a good point. When KD is the one in this whole realm of superstars, he's the one who's got to get this title. Well, you know, if he doesn't get it this year, then I guess he'll get it. He's got chances in the coming years because the window, of course, is open. But you know, everybody's eyes are on him to win that first one.
Yeah, especially. But go ahead. I gotta drink something.
I was going to say somebody in the comments.
No sponsored drink there, buddy. Make sure you show it.
Somebody was saying, can we compare LeBron and MJ? We probably can't even compare LeBron to Kobe at this point.
No.
And so you can't get to Michael before you go through Kobe. And then you got to go through Magic. I mean, he's not in the conversation with MJ. Even if he wins his 3, if he wins 3 more, because he's lost like 4 or 5 champions. Mike didn't lose when he got to the mountain. Bill Russell didn't lose when he got to the mountaintop. You know, so we can't put these guys in the same discussion.
Well, we know the Sonics would have beat the Bulls if Gary Payton went to nothing, right?
Don't forget, GP was injured. He was playing hurt.
GP was great. Don't get me wrong. I love this city, but the Bulls got that one.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So what's on the line, man? If I win, if the Cavs win, you're taking me out for a steak dinner, and Joel too. Joel's in on this too.
Okay.
Who do you like? Man? We didn't get yours. You like the Warriors, don't you?
Yeah, like the Warriors.
So,
And 5,
so
maybe
I'm
6.
taking this. So
I just think that with the Warriors, their length on the perimeter is going to be too hard for the Cavs
yeah,
to do anything.
if they're hitting, it's going to be. But if they're hitting it, they're going to be tough. But Klay Thompson's one of those wild cards where if he's cold, which he has been, he's been off and on. So.
But they still win with him being cold.
I know
great
they're stacked.
They
They're
have
stacked.
like 5 or 6 people who can shoot the 3 at a star level. I mean, Curry, Durant, Draymond, Iguodala can shoot. McCaw, the bench can shoot, and I didn't even mention Cook. I mean, they have 6, 7 shooters on the team.
Dude, what's scary about them is how fast they can rack up a 20-point lead. They can just, if they feel the momentum and they're rolling, you can be down 20 like that. So the Cavs got to be really careful to just, don't get, overwhelmed with the situation, which, they're obviously not going to. They're a veteran club. This should be a good series, but I'm telling you, from everything I've read, everybody thinks it's going to be quick, and the Warriors are stacked offensively.
For the Cavs to win, Channing, Korver, they have to get at least 8 to 10. Tristan Thompson has to get like 8 points, but more importantly, 10 plus rebounds. LeBron has to get pretty close to a triple-double. He cannot get a 20-point game with 5 assists and 3 rebounds. He has to get north of 20 points, he has to get 9 or 10 rebounds, and he has to get about 8 or 9 assists because Durant is going to get his 25. Curry is going to get his 24. Klay is going to get his 18. Draymond's going to get his 15. And I mean, they just pick your apart, man. So yeah, if you win, where am I taking you?
You're taking me to my steakhouse. Any steakhouse that I want to go to, you're taking me.
Well,
whoever wants to advertise on this Facebook Live, we'll take you there.
Right here.
And then if I win,
yeah, where are you going? Sushi? What are you doing?
Probably some nice Caribbean food.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
So you've got to find out a good Caribbean place here.
He already knows.
So no, we'll try a new one. We'll try another one.
Okay.
You don't know the name of where you want me to take you?
Well, I don't want to throw it out there. It's free advertising, man. We're trying to sell this spot. No. I'm a huge fan of Daniels, so you're taking me to Daniels.
And then Joel's going to take you where? Same spot.
Joel's he can take you to the drive-through at McDonald's. I'll go easy on Joel. You're buying me a $60 steak, though. So I'm taking you to Caribbean. That's a little cheaper. You want to bring somebody with you? So back the bill up a little bit.
I'll figure something out. We'll make it even. But also let's raise the stakes.
All right.
No pun intended. 30 push-ups.
Wow.
What? You want me to do 30?
Yeah. So if I win, restaurant and 30 push-ups. If you win, restaurant and 30 push-ups.
All I got to do is 30 push-ups. Okay. I hope I can do that.
With that back of yours, you can't even get through 10.
That's a show for another day. Me and David in the gym. All right, bro, Tato Chip.
Do I need to show them my leg lift video? 1,000 pounds.
Are we good here?
Yeah.
Are we good?
I think so.
Special guest, David Espinoza Hall, talking NBA Finals. Thanks, man. Thanks for all the insight.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, dude. We'll check with you later.
Requires a double team. Kevin Love requires attention.
Kyrie's so good. He's like the Lord in my.
If I look at it from the star player standpoint, Kyrie and Isaiah kind of get to the same amount of points, but they do things differently. Kyrie's probably the best ball handler in the NBA. You might be able to argue Curry and maybe one other player, but I think it's Kyrie.
Yeah.
When he played with Cleveland before LeBron, the team was terrible. He couldn't finish, meaning he couldn't close games. They probably won 20 games out of 82, so they weren't that good. You add LeBron to that team and Kevin Love and a bunch of other players, and hi Lori, and you had a bunch of other players. So you add some star players, and the floor opens up. The pressure is relaxed from Kyrie because LeBron is going to require double team.
Kyrie's so good. He's like the Lauren Matsukawa of news anchors.
There you
go.
go.
He's that good.
Same height too. Now, she can handle the rock. I've seen her play. Now, so Kyrie with LeBron and Kevin Love and some other good players. The attention is on some of the other players. You have to pay attention to Kyrie, but the game is easier for him. So he was able to finish in the playoffs and the finals last year because LeBron requires a double team, Kevin Love requires attention. So he's going to be able to break down one guy and have more space to operate. Now, again, when he was with Cleveland with no superstars, it's like the court became smaller because all the attention was focused on him. Great players like Barkley, Julius Erving, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, they could get the job done on a poor team. Allen Iverson, they didn't need really a bunch of players around them, not to get the championship, but just to produce and close games. So now that Kyrie's going to Boston, he's surrounded by Jason Tatum from Duke, who's a decent player. It kind of remains to be seen, but I think Tatum is going to be nice. But if I look at the established players, Al Horford is established. Gordon Hayward, established, all-star.
It's going to be a tough team.
Marcus Smart, they can actually probably dethrone the Cavs. So I think Kyrie.
Is that the finals? Or not the finals, but the finals
Eastern
in the
Conference?
East?
Eastern Conference.
I think so. It could be a little premature because I got to see a few. If Philly is healthy, they can be a problem.
Philly?
Joel Embiid is a generational player, but it's early. He has to make it. He has to make it through. They don't have the experience, and they need to make it through halfway of the season without any injuries, and then we can get off.